Our first organization is the Whistler Institute, and we have Suki, Cheyne. I'm just trying to find her on my list here. Suki, give me a wave if you can. There you are. Thank you. She's the executive director, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the organization and what their funds are asking for tonight. Go ahead, Suki.
Thanks, Ashley. So, as Ashley mentioned, I'm Suki Cheyne. I'm the executive director of the Whistler Institute, which is a Whistler-based organisation that serves the Sea to Sky region from Squamish through to Mount Currie. The Whistler Institute is a fairly young organisation. It was originally formed as a non-profit in 2015 as the Whistler Learning Centre and gained charitable status in 2018. In early 2021, we rebranded as the Whistler Institute to reflect the breadth and depth of our activities. The Whistler Institute is governed by 9 volunteer board of directors. I'm the sole member of staff, and we have a team of 4 part-time staff at Mount Currie who are currently working on content development of a living skills training program, which is funded through a grant from the CATS Amsterdam Charitable Foundation. The goal of the Whistler Institute is influencing change and inspiring minds through education and thought leadership. And we do this through a number of programs, which I'll quickly list to save time. If anything sparks your interest, there are details on our website. First, the Global Perspective Speaker Series is a thought leadership program. Our most recent event was on May the 14th this year, and it addressed the topic of tourism post-COVID through a regenerative lens, and the recording's available on our website if you'd like to watch it. We're collaborating with Vancouver Community College to refurbish the Jazeel Learning Centre in Mount Currie with a teaching kitchen to deliver ITA culinary training courses. Where there are education gaps, we partner with organisations to develop programmes. For instance, our new Indigenous and Intercultural Awareness Programme was a collaboration between Lil'wat Nation, BCIT and the Whistler Institute to build long-lasting, sustainable relationships between the communities and develop meaningful employment for Indigenous people with the business community to ensure we have a workforce that truly reflects the local population. We promote local educational offerings via our educational calendar and social channels. And we partner with educational institutions to bring accredited and vocational post-secondary courses to the area. For instance, local residents can take part-time BCIT business and leadership courses in Whistler when public health orders allow. This allows residents to continue face-to-face further education on a part-time basis while working supported by their family and local community. All this is done on a budget of less than $85,000, of which 80% is spent directly on salaries. The programme we're requesting funding for is bursaries for local residents. The cost of living in the Sea to Sky region is high, and most communities are a long drive from any higher education institution. Taking time off from work to up or reskill is often unrealistic for families who require full-time salaries to make ends meet, and online training doesn't work for everyone. The Whistler Institute works to not only source local offerings to remove the travel barriers to education, but also sources bursaries to remove the financial barriers which would improve participants' employability and give them the means to live, work and remain in the area. In 2020, a total of $4,600 was distributed via a bursary to eight local residents who would normally not be able to access post-secondary education due to financial stress. These bursaries were administered through Whistler Community Services Society, who have income verification and privacy protection processes in place. Those bursaries had a profound impact on the local residents who received them. They submitted a testimonial speaking to their personal experience, and they conveyed the positive impact the funding and subsequent course had on each person's life. We had 2 female entrepreneurs start businesses. There were several career changes and students embarking on new fields of study. These courses provided catalysts for positive change within our community. I don't have time to read them all, but I thought I'd just share one. It starts, being able to attend the digital marketing course was the push I needed to confidently start my own business. The course taught me more than I ever realized there was to learn. I'm certainly no expert now, but at least I understand the basic terminology and theories. I'm excited to use it and expand upon my new knowledge and put it into practice. Without the bursary, this course wouldn't have even been an option for me. Thank you for supporting me, and what a great opportunity for the community. I'm not ready to swim in the oceans yet, but I'm confident to dip my toe in the water. The COVID-19 pandemic has decimated tourism, which was the backbone of the local community. And as a result, many local residents have been laid off or are working reduced hours. We anticipate demand for bursaries in fall 2021 to be higher than ever. Our ask today is that the 100 Women Whistler donate funds directly back into the community to empower and lift up our local residents as they strive for a better life. And I thank you for the opportunity to not only present to the group, but to raise awareness of the Whistler Institute programs that influence change and inspire minds.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Suki. That was great. All right. If anybody has a question, you can pop it in the chat box down below. We'll just give everybody a minute to kind of go through that and pop your question in there. Suki, how long has the Whistler Institute been in place? Sorry, I think I missed that at the beginning, maybe.
We were formed in November 2015, originally as the Whistler Institute. So we've been operating for just over 5 years, but we rebranded as the Whistler Institute this year.
Right. All right. If anybody has some questions regarding the Whistler Institute, pop them into the chat box. I'm just going to pop over to Katie here.
I don't have any questions in the chat quite yet. Oh, here we've got one. All right. When possible, where are classes held and how are the courses chosen?
Oh, so we assess demand by looking at a number of different criteria. We use labor studies, surveys throughout the community. We look at, I'm trying to think what else we look at. And we look at also the Chamber's survey to the membership as well to look at training demands. The Chamber does an excellent job of training, and we try and provide the next step in that ladder, which is the accredited education that you would jump on if you found something that you found interesting during your training. And typically we hold them, well, in any area that we can in Whistler. We held them recently in Tamworth at the international school there because they have their classes during the day and we can use classrooms in the evening. When we thought social distancing was an option and we'd be able to continue to hold classes in person, we were going to hold them downstairs at the conference center because they have such great big spaces. But then it became evident that we couldn't do that. So we moved online temporarily. So I've yet to find classes because we've been waiting for the okay to go ahead, and that came yesterday. So that will be coming for fall 2021, but I'm not sure yet on the location.
Wonderful. Well, it's looking very positive. What are the criteria to apply for the bursaries and receive them for the person who's interested?
Sure. So we usually put the application form on our website, and that application form goes directly to Whistler Community Services. What they do is they assess income, and the bursaries are issued depending on someone's income. So if they fall below a certain level, then they receive a bursary of a certain amount. If they have a slightly higher income, it will be a lesser amount. And we also take into account people who are supporting families as well. So there's criteria relating to that.
Okay, great. I don't know if I missed this early on, and I apologize if I did, but if you were to be selected tonight, about how many people do you think you could put through the program with the bursaries that you could get out of tonight's donation?
So last year we had 8 people, and that was $4,600. So we could at least double that, probably more. Mm-hmm. And we do anticipate that demand. Anything that wouldn't be spent in fall 2021, we would roll over into spring 2022 and continue to offer bursaries in that area as well.
Wonderful. Are courses continuing education, or can they count towards a diploma or degree programs with BCIT specifically?
No, they can be transferred to any receiving body. They're accredited post-secondary courses. So you have, they're either 3 or 4 credit courses, depending on the course. Okay. You transfer them to another public post-secondary institution, but it is always at the discretion of that receiving institution. Okay. So they don't have to just be transferred into a diploma or a certificate at BCIT. It could be at SFU, Vancouver Community College, Vancouver Island University. They're kind of transferable credits.
One more question from Bevan. What will funds from tonight go towards if you have something in mind specifically?
They're specifically for bursaries, so that would go into a separate pot. We wouldn't spend it on operations or any of our existing programs, and then that money goes directly to members of the public so that they can take courses.
Wonderful. I think that's all for now. Last call for questions.
I think there's one more here. I'm sorry, just trying to find it. Oh, no, I think we got that one from Anna. Okay.
I think so too.
Perfect. Oh, one more on the bottom. You see it?
Who do the bursaries go to if you feel like you haven't, or if you want to review?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I can tell you that they're available to the local community. And when we say the local community, we include Pemberton as well as the Whistler community for those bursaries. So it's not restricted to Whistler residents, but Pemberton too.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
Thank you, Suki.
Suki. All right. Just looking for our next presenter. Where are you, Erin? Oh, there you are. Thank you, Erin. So I've got Erin Crawford here from the Whistler Youth Soccer Club, and she's going to tell us a little bit about their programs and what they are asking for funding for tonight. So go ahead, Erin.
In a year full of Zoom, this is the largest one I've ever attended. It's pretty cool. So hello, my name is Erin Crawford. I am the manager registrar of the Whistler Youth Soccer Club. And I believe we're coming up on our 30th year of providing youth soccer to the communities of Whistler. And then now we also serve some players from Squamish all the way up to Mount Currie. So, and the ages are preschool all the way up to under 18, so 17-year-olds. The mandate of the club is very simple. It's to provide quality youth soccer experiences while growing a lifelong love of sport. And that's done through year-round programming that we provide with indoor during the winter because of the weather is in a gym, and it's mostly skills and drills and fitness and stuff like that. Then we moved to spring soccer, which is outdoors as soon as the snow clears. We get out there and late March, early April. And it's a lot of skills and drills for the younger kids and fitness development and all that kind of stuff. And the older kids generally are registered in a league in the city, which is a new thing that we've taken on. Just gives them more access to increased play and interaction with other teams. And then the summer, we tend to take it easy and just offer a couple of camps for fitness and friends. And then in the fall, it's our big season where everybody is registered in a league in the city that's over 11 years old. And they play, and then we are able, because the league is very helpful in helping us with our weather predicament, to allow us to pull out early. And that way we are able to provide year-round soccer playing for all the kids in Whistler that also accommodates the ski season, which we find is really important to keep kids engaged and the numbers up because skiing is a big one. So this year we really noticed, because we were able to operate despite having COVID, because we were outside for most of the year. The only time we completely had to shut down was spring this year, was the importance of kids being able to move and be physically active and be engaged with friends, not only for physical health, but for their mental well-being as well. And so our registration numbers have increased tremendously this past year, which was quite interesting, but not surprising. So what we want to do if we were to be awarded this money would be to expand an initiative that we have in the elementary schools. And the goal of it is to provide soccer experiences without barriers to kids kindergarten to grade 7. So it's called Kicking in Schools. And currently we run it in the Myrtle Phillip Elementary School for 2 weeks. It's paid for by the PAC. This money would go directly to taking any sort of payment from the PAC or parents or anything like that, and would go directly to covering the only cost for this program, which is coaching. So we'd love to expand it into the other 2 elementary schools, Waldorf and Spring Creek. And it would run from K to 7 in all the schools. It's for 2 weeks. It involves Mark, who's our head coach, and he goes from class to class. So there's two goals here. One is to get more kids exposed to soccer without barriers. So there's no transportation need, there's no fee to them, there's no time. And the parents who may not seek out sport, it's given to them in the one place that all children generally are, which is school. And so Mark goes in and he takes class by class and outside and runs through the day and does almost an hour, 45 minutes with each class for 5 days in a row. He finds that he gets a lot of kids who this is their first exposure, not only to sport and kicking a ball around with intent, but also to be on a team sport, because we don't have a lot of those up in Whistler. And it's quite a new experience for many kids to actually have to work with one another and pass the ball and rely on each other. So there's definitely skills there that we don't see in some of the individual sports that a lot of us participate in. The other piece of this is that we try to grow the competence of the teacher to teach this once we leave. So it's twofold. It's to grow the competence and the confidence of the student, but also the competence and the confidence of the teacher to carry this on. So that Mark models and mentors them through a lot of the skills and drills that they can carry on once we're gone. It requires no equipment. We bring all the equipment and supply it. And then once we're done in the 2 weeks, that's it. And Mark comes back again next year. The program used to be funded by BC Soccer, but it dropped off somewhere. Mark couldn't remember exactly when they stopped paying. I just have been here for 4 years now, I think. But he said there was really great uptake when the price was not required to be paid for at all by the school or the PAC. And now we're just slowly trying to bring that back. This is a big one to us because we find that if we can get the kids in the schools and get them exposed to organized sport, it really develops that love for participation and involvement, and that carries over into their own time. They can go down to the soccer field and kick the ball and stuff like that. So this money would go directly towards the only cost that this program incurs, which is the coaching. And we'd love to put it into the 3 elementary schools. We'd also keep a tiny little bit of money aside to run a come play free day, which would be one evening after these programs run to bring them down to the field with their parents to see what it looks like on an actual soccer field. Free to them with all our coaches there with some stations. And it's just a free play day for them to check out the sport outside of the school atmosphere. But it's a really simple program, but it has really big impacts for the kids that get to experience it. And again, if we can bring it to them and get more kids moving more often, then we've had a success, both for their emotional health, but also for their physical health. So it's simple. It's a simple program, but we believe an important one, and that's exactly what the money would go to. So I'm thrilled to even be nominated to this. This is really amazing. What a great idea. And thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Erin. Again, if anybody has questions about the program, you can pop them in the chat box, either to everyone, you can select at the top there, or to Katie directly. Erin, my first question was, what is the cost? Do you know the hard cost of what a 2-week program is? So how many are we going to get from the 12,000 is sort of what I'm trying to wrap my head around.
Yeah, so it's $3,300 for coaching for 6 hours a day for 5 days a week times 2 weeks. So anything that couldn't be covered for the 2 schools, we would cover.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Give another here. Go. I'll get Katie in here.
Sure thing. The first question is a 2-parter. So did the Whistler Youth Soccer Club receive fee for service money from the Rmow this year?
Yes, so we did get some from the CEP grant, and a little bit of that money is allotted to this, and that generally goes towards the regeneration of the equipment that we use for this.
Okay. The second part of that question was, is there an opportunity to leave any of the equipment behind with the money that's used if the school doesn't have the equipment?
You know what? I think Mark has left a few balls previously for them if they don't have an adequate supply. We tend to regenerate our supplies every few years, and Mark does try to give those to the local schools. Sometimes they're just too ratty, but if a school specifically asks, we would absolutely provide that. Yeah, it would be useless to walk away and leave them with nothing. Yeah, for sure.
The next question is a little bit similar in the same vein, but who buys the materials, the balls and the nets to go into this program? Are some of them at the school and you supplement, or is it the other way around? Or
we bring everything. So we have some pop-up nets, some smaller ones that get used. At Myrtle Phillip, we are able to use the bigger fields down below. I don't know exactly where Mark runs it, or exactly if he's using just big pop-up nets, because we have several of those, or if he uses the large nets. And then we have all the balls and cones and pennies that he brings. Yeah.
Perfect. Would there be, or do you have a plan in place to sustain the funding after this one-time donation that would potentially cover the one round of?
Yeah, I think we talked about this the other day, because if this does take off, and I feel it would, this would be something that our granting request through the gaming funds would continue to ask for. And if not, then a piece of our registration would go towards this for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Another good question from Jen. Have the other, or any of the other PACs or schools considered this but not had the money, or are there other reasons that it hasn't been done?
Spring Creek used to do it a while ago when BC Soccer paid for it, and then it's just fallen off. Mark has a really good working relationship with the admin staff at Myrtle Phillip, and so that's why that has continued and gone over and over year after year. He has been in contact with Spring Creek last year or the year before, and I don't know exactly what fell off there. Waldorf is a new one. We haven't approached them before to run this program, so this will be a new connection with them, relationship.
Okay. And the second part of Jen's question was, has there been interest expressed from the other schools, from their PAC or their teachers, to have a program like this? And I guess if they're not interested in receiving this particular program that's funded by this, potentially could you use the money to continue it with the schools that are interested?
Yes. So Mark has said that Spring Creek is interested. The money issue has come up in the past. And then if we could not go into the other schools, or there was a delay, we would actually look for two things. One, to continue on at Myrtle Phillip. And if we can't continue it doing school hours, we would offer an after-school soccer program at the school. So the kids, same thing again, no barrier to transportation and time and all that kind of stuff. The kids would just transfer from there to the soccer program in our care. And if they were in the aftercare, then we would take them from that and they could play the soccer. The other piece that we've often thought about and considered, and again, it's for us, this is a money issue, is the Mount Currie. We have many of their players that make it down weekly and play on our older teams. The younger kids do not. And we have a really good connection with one of their employees in the community up there who handles all the kids who come down for soccer. And he's always been interested in how we could make this happen. So this would probably be a very good opportunity to reach out and see if we could make something happen.
That's great. We'll say that there is a huge amount of interest generated for soccer within this program. If it were to move ahead, does the soccer league have the room to absorb additional players, or how much bigger can your league get?
Well, with COVID restrictions, we're only allowed 50 on the field. So it's taken a lot of balancing because we have so many kids that have come and played. But yes, we have room. It's just it's a scheduling thing. And we just bump them differently around the week and use the field at Cheakamus, which is just one field. So we're kind of limited in space by that. But we also do have the Myrtle Phillip fields in the spring and the summer. Yeah.
Perfect. I think that's all the questions for now. Wonderful. Thank you. My son loves it. He's a big fan.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Erin.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, and here we go. We are on to our third and final organization. And I am looking for there she is, Jackie from the Whistler Community Services Society. So Jackie, I will let you go ahead and talk about the program.
Awesome. Thank you to Ashley, the volunteers of 100 Women Who Care Whistler, and all of you tonight for your support, your attendance, donations, and connections. I also want to acknowledge the work and presentations tonight by the Whistler Institute and the Whistler Youth Soccer Club. Tonight, I am honored to speak on behalf of Whistler Community Services and talk about our outreach services, and specifically our Outreach Together appeal, which is raising funding and money to support the well-being and the emotional health of our community. Outreach Services has been in existence in Whistler for almost 20 years. It began with one person, the infamous Greg McDonnell, now known as a well-known clinical counselor. And more than 20 years later, it's become a 6-person team supporting in a pandemic year over 6,000 one-to-one meetings of free confidential support to anyone in the community. The demand has tripled in size compared to pre-pandemic levels, and some of our highest numbers of outreach support came in April of 2020 with the onset of the pandemic. And that month alone, this team supported over 740 people in April of 2020, and over 50% of the people coming in were identifying as being in crisis. To put it into perspective, when I first started in this team, we were a 3-person team and we were seeing maybe 300 people a year. This team is now doing more than double that in 1 month. I think all of us in COVID have been flooded by numbers, stats, information, and case counts. So I think it's really important to remember this one thing, that all of these numbers represent people. They represent lives, they represent stories, they represent challenges, and they represent joy. Each time I say these stats, I think about all the people I had the opportunity to meet. People who trusted me with their stories. Sometimes they trusted me with their lives. And the responsibility I have today is to share the impact of our services and be a storyteller, not a story taker. I often get asked, what does an outreach worker at Whistler Community Services do? What does a normal day look like? The truth is, nothing about outreach services is normal, because these people are rapidly responding to the changing needs of the community. They listen, they provide support, they refer people to our 30+ internal programs. 40% of their meetings involve referring people to higher levels of care, other community organizations, and resources. But more than that, they are a lifeline. Pre-pandemic, they were a warm hug and a cup of coffee. Despite plexiglass and face masks, that care and compassion has remained. It has not changed. Since June 2020, our doors have been open. We have provided in-person support to support our most vulnerable and our underserved community members. The truth is that technology is privilege. An ability to meet virtually truly is that. But keeping in-person support allowed us to connect with our homeless, our underhoused, those who did not have phones and technology, those fleeing abuse, and those who identified that their home was not their haven. These individuals we helped were hit hardest by this pandemic, and supporting our most underserved is the only way we're going to get out of this pandemic. A healthy community only exists if we have access to inclusive, low barrier, caring support. And Whistler Community Services and the outreach team that I'm here to talk about today, every day they have always demonstrated that through this pandemic. This year, this team of people put safety at the forefront. They met women fleeing abuse in local parks because their home was not safe, or those women risked their own safety if they came into our building. This outreach team greeted each member who entered our food bank. They consoled people who were filled with tears, who never believed that they would have to stand in a food bank line. Instead, in previous years, they donated checks. They brought clean clothes to people who needed access to technology and who were homeless. They packed over 1,300 hygiene kits that were generously donated by the Whistler Blackcomb Foundation. And in partnership with our food bank team, they hand delivered these items in full PPE gear, risking their own safety. They consoled new family members and provided online access to harm reduction tools, and they trained local businesses and bars on how to administer naloxone and how to reduce death and opiate overdoses. They returned back into our public schools, provided curriculum and support to our children in the last few months who were experiencing high levels of anxiety. And this was at no cost to the school system, and again, made possible by the Whistler Blackcomb Foundation. And they worked directly with the Whistler medical team, Dr. Karen Kowski, Dr. Fern, and the Whistler Medical Center to ensure COVID-19 positive people and those accessing COVID-19 resources got support to mental health, food, and care. And they developed and provided a staff of people to create the very first example of emergency housing in Whistler, funded by BC Housing, to provide temporary isolation sites to COVID-19 positive people. They developed this program in partnership with VCH, Whistler Healthcare Center, Whistler Medical, and the RMOW in less than 6 weeks. And a person's experience in the second wave of January with COVID was drastically different than it was 2 months prior because of these people. They were one of the kindest, most caring, sanitized helping hand in the community. They did it to ensure that as a Whistler community, we got through this and that we all came out of this together. Tonight, I sit here with the hopeful goal to receive funding from this program, but equally important, I get an opportunity to share the awareness of this incredible team and the strong people who every day access and reach for help, because asking for help is truly a sign of strength. When I share these stories, I risk tonight that someone in this meeting would value from our help and they could possibly think, I worry that someone else needs it more. My issues are not as important as others. Regardless of the outcome of this evening, our success tonight will be if someone on this call today feels comfortable tomorrow or in the upcoming days to confidentially reach out to our services, to share their information to a friend who needs that support, to like us on Facebook, to like us on Instagram, and to get to their kid to wear a Together hat at summer camp. Because all of that destigmatizes our services. And the truth is that the main demographic of people we see look just like you and me. It's all of us. None of us are immune to adversity. It takes a village, and I truly believe we live in one of the greatest villages in the world. If nothing else, I hope you consider reaching out, connecting, and assisting. This team and all of us were challenged by this pandemic to listen, to learn, and I can honestly say that none of us on this team ever want us to go back to what we thought was normal. I'm not sure what normal once was, and I don't think it truly exemplified who we can be. There's a social justice advocate, Sonia Renee Taylor, and she said, we should never go back to normal. Normal never was. Our pre-corona existence was not normal. Other than that, we normalized inequity, exhaustion, depletion, and extraction. We should not long to return, but rather be given the opportunity to stitch a new garment, one that fits all of humanity. I want to acknowledge the team of people I'm here to represent: Program Manager Lisa Coulter, Supervisor Sharda Clayton, Team Member Dan Knox, Carla Royal, Jono Eastwell, and Erin Harrison-Bray. As well, thank you to May Madden, the Whistler Blackcomb Foundation, Cats Amsterdam Foundation, Andy Socks, the Kelty Patrick Dennehy Foundation, the Linda Mackay Foundation, and all of you. When our stores shut down last year, we needed that funding to be able to do the work I just spoke about. The support you offered this year, despite our stores being closed, allowed us to continue to do this. As well, I'm here to talk tonight to get you to donate to our Together Outreach campaign, which means would help fund the additional outreach worker we've had to hire in response to this pandemic. And through this appeal, the Whistler 2020 grad group donated, the Thomas Legault Foundation, and Fairmont Chateau Whistler most recently with their Grill and Give box. I leave you tonight with the wise words of my 8-year-old son, Michael. This pandemic has come to teach us things we couldn't possibly learn on our own. And I'm very proud to work for this team because every day that is their commitment to learn more, to be better, and to make this community a healthier place. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Jackie. All right. I'm just going to give everyone a quick second here. Jackie, can you just quickly go over was there a total goal that the outreach was looking for and how far you guys have come in that? Can you put some details towards that?
Yeah, so our outreach goal is about $100,000. Our first 6 weeks was about 50,000. We are at about 44,000 of that 50,000. So we're almost there. But our overall goal for the entire fiscal year is $100,000 to reach and support a team that costs us about $324,000. So I think, you know, the question I might get is, well, what does $12,000 do? Right? Like, what difference does it make? Well, to put it into perspective, an outreach worker costs us $54,000. At $12,000, that pays for the wages of one outreach worker for 3 months. And on average, they're going to see a minimum of 100 people. $12,000 in its bare minimum helps 300 people in 3 months. Plus their support at our food bank, plus working in our public schools. So just to put it into perspective, that's what we're hoping to gain tonight. But I also want to recognize that it's a hard place to be to choose one of these amazing groups. I'm fortunate. I love working with Suki. My son's benefited from the Whistler Youth Soccer Club. So a tough decision tonight. I just know that no matter what, all of us kind of come out of here winning something, you know?
For sure. Katie, can you go ahead?
Yes. Thank you, Jackie. We love you. And I love that you always throw in something from Michael into your.
I think if an 8-year-old child can come out with that kind of wisdom, we all have something to learn. So they truly are our best teachers. It really is.
He's a good boy. One of the questions in the chat so far was, if you looked at the number of people that you've served in the last 6 months or so, how does that line up against previous periods of time?
Yeah, so to put that into perspective, on average, this team was seeing about 250 people a month. So 250 meetings a month. On average now it's 740. So it's almost tripled the amount of people. We've only added one staff member to accommodate that need. So this team is very, very busy. And also to put in, I know there might be some questions around our food bank support. So to say on average, we used to see about maybe our highest numbers were 300 a month. This past April, we served over 1,100 people. And in May, we're on track to serve over 1,000 people again. And I'm not sure actually why I got so upset. It kind of caught me by surprise because, you know, when I was writing this, I didn't anticipate getting super emotional, but I think it's really trying to communicate that we've seen people in the last couple months that never thought they'd have to stand in a food bank line. And that's been really, really hard. And also we worry that people aren't coming because they worry that people need it more, and we want you to come. We need you to come. It's the only way we're going to get through this.
Amazing. One of the questions here, and I know you ran through a lot of the organizations that are supporting all of your efforts, but are you able to provide kind of a brief outline of present funding and who's contributing the most in that?
Yeah, we have received a tremendous amount of support from the Cats Amsterdam Foundation. So in the past, they've been able to donate about $100,000 a year to us, specifically for outreach services. And the Whistler Blackcomb Foundation have been huge supporters. I know the Kelty Patrick Dennehy Foundation, they were recipients of funding a couple months ago and supported. So last March, April, and May, some of those main funders were crucial. As I said, our stores closed, so our revenue stream stopped. And so we did very much rely on those donations to make sure we could keep doing what we're doing. The other big issue is that our store generally, our reuse it and rebuild it, generate upwards to almost $1.3 million a year. In the best case scenario, they'll raise $800,000. There's $500,000 of a revenue stream we normally receive that was unrestricted. And I also think, like, people say, well, what difference? I mean, Erin and Suki have all proved tonight that money is very vital, right? And when we look at big budgets, will it really make a difference? We raise money at Whistler Community Services one t-shirt at a time. Every time you donate something to us, every single item translates into money that translates into almost $800,000 this year. So it does matter. It does make a difference.
Okay, everybody go clean out all your closets. Clean out your
We
house.
do. Actually, I should say thanks to the community, because this past month was the first time we actually met our revenue goals in over 14 months. So that was huge. And that was a result of a lot of positive donations. But like any business, we've been down 23 to upwards of 50% compared to pre-pandemic levels.
Next comment is, thank you so much for all the work that you've done for the health of our community. Your team has become the backbone of caring for our most vulnerable. Proud of what you do. That was not a question. That was a statement. Let me see here. On top of this donation from 100 Women, are there other ways that us women can donate our time to help with Whistler Community Services, knowing that volunteering has stopped due to COVID restrictions?
Yeah, well, first I want to acknowledge Dr. Fern, because she's been really vital. We can't only do this type of work when we have inspiring, hopeful, collaborative partners like Dr. Fern. So thanks, Fern. I appreciate it. She wears our hat as well in the ER when she's not helping people and on a bunch of meetings with me. So I appreciate it. It means a lot. And yes, we have just reopened the opportunity for volunteers. And that also kind of explains why a lot of us, Erin and Suki, have talked about it, that a lot of these programs, we did rely on volunteers and it became challenging. And so that had to translate into wages. Volunteers are powerful parts of nonprofits. And then when we can't use them, our costs for wages are going to go up, which was absolutely the case this year. But we are back open for volunteers. We would love you, especially with our school lunch fund program. It's led by the amazing Fraser Carey. But this team is now serving 14,000 meals and snacks a month. To put it in perspective, pre-pandemic, we used to do 20,000 for the entire year. So the food security needs of our community are growing. So it takes more people and it takes more funding, but it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Next question is, sorry, let's see. Today, there was a call out regarding an appeal from Outreach Services to help with the opioid crisis. Will this funding tonight help to support that program?
Yeah, great question. And, you know, as I mentioned, yes, our staff are working directly with a harm reduction approach. And so our staff have been training a lot of the big bars and businesses, local staff housing and communities on naloxone and how to administer naloxone. And then we are working directly with people who are using substances and providing tools to reduce the amount of harm. So yes, it goes towards harm reduction initiatives as well.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's all the questions in the chat so far, but there was someone that wanted to add to your notes today, and it was more in support of your appeal for funding, is that many of the foundations that we're talking about here cannot raise the big dollars through their large events at the moment. So it's important for things like this. So great job, Jackie. That was from Melissa McLaughlin.
Thanks, Melissa. I miss seeing you.
That's it, Ash. Over to you.
All right. Thank you so much to Suki, Erin, and Jackie. I know I say this every time, but I feel like this is a really tough decision. These are three pretty amazing programs, organizations within our community that each have their own important factor. So good luck, everyone. I am just going to quickly attempt this breakout room, and I'm going to put Where are you? Sorry, guys, just bear with me here. I don't know what's going on. I think it's just me and my technical abilities, but the breakout room, I don't know. If somebody has some wizard way, tell me about it after. But right now, I'm just going to say, Suki and Erin, don't vote. I'm going to pop up the poll now, and I'll give everybody about 5 minutes to make your decision. But here we go. Is anybody, we went from 71 participants to 57. Did I do something wrong here?
Ash, a bunch of us got put in a breakout room.
Yeah, I tried to cancel it. Did it not cancel for you?
I left it, but I saw a few people in there.
Yeah,
So, but it
well,
was going to cancel in a couple, in like less than a minute.
Okay. Those of you who were in the breakout room, I apologize.
I don't think they can hear you in the breakout room.
No, everybody should be out now. It says everyone's out of breakout. If you can't see that voting, but I think you can, it shows me that 71 people are able to vote now. So I apologize. I wasn't trying to be mean. I'm just not very smart. What can you do? Okay, we've got about 10 more people to place a vote here. There we go. Where's Courtney? Courtney, you can vote now. And I think that should be it. Okay. I'm going to end the polling. Close it. Okay. So for quarter two of 2021, we have a winner. Drum roll, please. We are going to give $12,000 to the Whistler Community Services Society for their outreach program. So I should have had everybody on here, but Jackie, where are you at? There you are. Yay! That's amazing. So happy to support this program and everything that it does for our community. Thank you so much, Erin and Suki, as well. We super appreciate you coming on here and talking about what your organization does for our community and sharing with us the need. And if anybody wants to support those programs as well, when I send out the email, I will put their information to place a donation toward that organization as well. So Jackie, if you want to say anything.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much. And also, I really appreciate it because I'm normally part of the end, which I got to be a part of. And this is a group that's really, I think, kept a lot of us really connected. So thank you for supporting us. Please feel free to come and visit us. And thank you for helping in the change. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. So if I could, I'd come and hug all you. And eventually, hopefully on International Hug Day, I can make that happen. So thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you, Jackie. All right, I am just gonna put the plug in there for everybody. If you have not sent your payment